this is gonna look a little weird. Yeah, I'm in the same clothes as the last edit. We're actually doing two things here. So first one was we were catching you guys up on the Sebring edit. The second one is during these last couple months, I actually took a lot of just private personal footage around the shop doing various different things. It's gonna be super messy, super out of chronological order. I'm sure half it's not gonna make any sense, but we're just putting it out there just because I had it. We wanted to go ahead and start practicing playing with what we could. And my sister and I both just kind of agreed it was usable. It was certainly usable stuff. And we're hoping to do more of this throughout the year. I'm getting much better at talking to the camera. It's taken some adjusting, but it finally just stopped giving a you-know-what. So enjoy and like, subscribe if you don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Enjoy. All right, guys, so I'm exhausted. This has been a hard crank for this week. Sunday, we have a big cookout here at the shop. And so for the open house, I'm trying to have Bob's car assembled and on its wheels outside. The engine won't run yet, but we figured it'd be a really cool opportunity for everyone to see what's been going on. So I've been working super hard on the interior because that's a section I know I can finish and have ready. So been wrapping up that. And so here's where we're at right now. The gauges are all installed, the GFB's installed. Everything comes on with the switch like it's supposed to. And the ignition brings everything to life. So getting this far has been a pain. What you can't see is the wiring that's going on behind the works. And this camera unfortunately doesn't have a permanent light. But what I can do is come down here and crank this on so that you guys can see. This is what's been going on back here. And this is just a whole lot of everything. But the beauty in this is that when there's an issue, you quickly remove the fuse or the glove box and everything is visible from right here. It's super easy to work on. And there's only like 2 or 3 things that actually connect to the dash bar. So if you needed to pull the dash, this entire switch panel unscrews from the dash. You turn it sideways and it'll stay with the car and the whole dash just comes right out. The gauge is unplugged from right there. It's really, really easy to work with. Get the e-brake handle installed and bound back up to its cable. I think I'm missing the tensioning clip, so we need to make a note of that, and I'll help find one at the local parts store this week. We're gonna get the lights and the center console installed. All of that is actually living within the center console, so it's important to me that all that, again, sticks with the theme of easy to install and remove. That's actually one of the only things that has to be run more complicated than others, because it actually has to run through here once this is installed. And I had a clever trick for that. We're gonna use actually the mounting bracket as the ground for the 2 wires. And then the power feed will just run straight up to the lights and you can reach it around the glove box. So that won't be too complicated. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna knock out next is gonna be running the vacuum line for the GFB to where the vacuum block is gonna live. The reason I'm using a vacuum block is so that everything is all nice and tidy and tight right here for vacuum wise, instead of all over the intake manifold. So instead of having 3 to 6 vacuum lines coming off, I'm only gonna have to have 1 vacuum line. It also lets me put the AEM boost sensor, the vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator, the vacuum line for the GFB, the vacuum line for the Mega Squirt will all be in one tight place. All of our sensors that we're adding and the wiring for the fan switch is actually gonna exit using what used to be the old air conditioning hole. And I'm going to put a piece of plastic here to grommet all of this to keep it from chafing on the outside of the wiring. All in all, the goal with this is functional, easy to get to, super cleanly routed. I just don't like the idea of having wires chasing and tubes chasing across the bay when they don't have to. So, getting the dash finished, bolted in, gauge cluster covers on, energy hub is on. The radio's in place, but that'll be coming out one more time to finish up some wiring. The next step is going to be to get the GFB wiring attached up tight with the factory chassis wiring. Replace this wire and a couple of these others. We're going to get them all zip tied back up where they belong. And the vacuum line for the GFB has been run across already. Can't see back there very well. But it's been run across. And so now that that's done, I'll be able to take the entire assembly and give it a nice home where it has some wiggle to it, because the chassis will be flexing quite a bit, but run safely across the cabin and not ever get kinked or stepped on. And we did the same thing with the vacuum line that runs for the Mega Squirt, but that actually ran through one of the factory channels. And the nice thing is on the 1.8, they don't make use of the plastic housings that run from forward to after the car. So that was really nice to have a home for those. Pretty good so far. We've got the mic wire I forgot to add, so I added that only to find out that it wasn't the mic wire from this radio at all. I've basically just wrapped that up behind the dash, so it's run really nice and neat. It's just not compatible with whatever radio is in here. But it looks nice. It looks really nice. I mean, here, take a look. Look at how nice that looks, and it's not even functional. What a shame. The next step is all the dash wires underneath the steering column have been taken care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the steering column cover back on the car. I've already attached the quick release hub. So that was nice. That went together pretty well. The one thing about quick releases and aftermarket hubs is that when you install them, typically it's good to loosely assemble it, fit it, make sure you get it perfectly upright, give yourself a mark so you can disassemble it all, reassemble it, torque the main nut down, and then go back and run your Allen keys in. A lot of people seem to struggle with that. Gauge pod cluster for the driver's side is a little funky. I haven't been able to figure out how they actually install, and despite spending a lot of time online, everybody just says, well, you fit it right into place. But if you look, this one doesn't really have a good means of mounting, and I don't know if it shows well on the camera, but you can see right through where it's pushing out and down here, and it's sitting flush, like it's in there nice and flat. And I don't know if I need to remove it and Dremel some of the edges down, but I feel like this is the type of part that a lot of beginner kids and tuners purchase. So you would think it had a pretty easy to install setup, but it doesn't seem to be the case, which is kind of frustrating. But I know I'll be able to work it out in the long run. The e-brake's in. So Bob had some really cool one-off modified e-brake handle, and I actually bartered for him. He wanted a stock one back so he could make use of his drift button and have the daily driver e-brake handle for the most part. I bartered for that, so that'll be going in my car. Not that I'm a big e-brake guy, but it is nice to have for tandeming. Or so I've heard. The beard's gone. So the next step is the lighting for the cabin. We haven't come up with a set plan of how we're gonna really attach the lights yet. So right now I've just got the lights zip tied to the bar. This is not how I want the finished product to be whatsoever, but this way here I can figure out where he wants the glow to accent the cabin. I can mark where they're gonna live permanently and then chase a proper solution to having them installed. I just don't like the idea of bare wires just running across the cabin. It just doesn't interest me. There is 4 additional lights we'll be installing from here, however. So you have 2 that run down the back of the dash, or the roll bar. Then we're gonna have 2 that cover the, they come down across your actual door bars themselves. And there will be 2 in the footwells. The footwell ones, super easy. The over the head bars, kind of tough, again, exposed wire. So again, that's probably gonna be one of the final things we really make a true decision on. Yes, we could mount them to the hardtop. It's not necessarily the prettiest thing though once you do it that way, because then you just literally have wires stuck to the roof of the car. The nice thing is if we did go that route, this system does use a quick release pinning, so you could actually make it a removable system.